This episode of the No Name Film Show Thingy is brought to you by Live Lots from the Foster Gallery. Live Lots is an online marketplace at the Foster Gallery that provides one-time runs in monthly increments of low-cost artwork that can be bought and shipped directly to your home. Find out more at www.thefostergallery.com.
The end. Thanks, guys. Great script. The next one is from Adam and Owen.
Cool. Yeah, this is Hardly Working, Dan's New Shoes. Owen, do you care who plays what?
No, I don't care. You can assign parts.
All right, cool. I'll just go down the list. Kevin be Kevin, a new be a new. Emily, can you read for man one?
Yes.
Great. Dan, let's have you be Ugly Man. Pat, can you do a British accent?
Hello, can I can. Right, Ogona.
Awesome. You be J.K. Rowling. Let's see. I'll be Handsome Strong Man. Kevin, you be Surprised Hitman, a new be Bullet. Dan, can you be Eensy Teensy Penis Man? Pat, can you do a Chinese accent?
Hello, can I can. It's tea time. God save the Queen.
Perfect. You be Mao Zedong Donkey Kong. I'll be Thick Dick Rick. Murph, you be Thick Dick Rick's Bisquick Stick. Emily be Man 2.
Yes.
Dan, you be Shitty Pathetic Twerp. Can you do that shitty pathetic voice you do?
What voice?
That's perfect. Yeah, nailed it. Great. Kevin, you be Great Sex Man. I'll be Even Better Sex Man. Anu, you be Wucky the Plucky Ducky. Emily, Man 3.
Yes.
Murph, you be Fat Tits Bomber Man. Oh, Pat, can you do a Vatican accent?
Hello, can I can. That's a lorry full of bollocks. Earl Grey up your bum.
Great. You be Dog Pope. Kevin be Emily. Can you do your Emily voice?
Got it.
Nice. Anu, you be Gefilte Filcher the Passover Thief. Murph be Tall Danny DeVito. Dan be Han Solo, but without the charm or coolness and with face herpes and no balls. Kevin be Margaret Conover, my mom. Emily, Man 4.
Yes.
And Man 5.
Yes.
Oh, and also Group of Men.
Yes.
Pat, can you do a Scottish accent?
No.
Dan, how about you?
Oh, sure I can. Actually, I was born in Scotland, so it makes a lot of sense.
Great, you be Scottish Toilet. I'll be Handsome Toilet Pooper. Kevin, you be Lord Hudak, Prince of the Forgotten Cosmos. Anu, you be a Hayward Microclear above ground chlorinated filtration system. And, oh, Dan, you be George Clooney. Oh, sorry, he doesn't have any lines. Never mind. All right, that's everyone. Oh, Owen, can you read stage directions?
Stage directions. Fuck you, you piece of shit. I went to fucking Juilliard. I should be Fat Tits Bomberman.
All right. Hi, everybody. This is Matt Foster, and this is the second episode of the No Name Film Show Thingy. I'm joined again this week by my cohort in crime, Kevin Walunas. How you doing, Kevin?
I'm doing great. How are you, Matt?
Good. And I'm really good because this is the third attempt now at this episode, right?
Yes, it is.
And and I keep wanting it to work because I want to hear how your audio comes out. Because you have a whole new audio rig.
Yeah, I got some new toys. So
so I'm bated breath and highly anticipating how this comes out.
Good.
So today we are going to do and we have the pre-roll of the little comedy skit there from College Humor.
Yep.
And scripts, right? Scripts and films.
Scripts and films. Yes.
So totally different genre of writing than novels and short stories and plays, even, I would assume.
That's yes, very much so.
And I mean, it's got its own very specific things, is what you've told me in the past. So we're going to dig into that a little bit. In me trying to do my homework for this episode, because I'll be the first to say this is getting into the technicalities of film that I really don't know much about. Wishing to try and bring something to the show, I thought to myself to think of a script or two that really kind of hit home for me without doing any kind of research. Just thinking to myself, if I was to pick a good story, and that's, again, I don't even know if that's proper criteria for a good script.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm assuming that's a good part of it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But something that, while I'm watching the movie, I actually thought to myself, wow, that's either clever or really well written or something. And then what I did as part B to that is I went and looked up that the 100 best scripts by the Writers Guild.
Yep, Writers Guild of America has a 101 greatest screenplays list.
Right. So and then I kind of measured myself up, which I was surprised where I landed because I was on the two opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So the first one I thought of was Memento.
Yeah. Phenomenal script.
And I mean, there's some of the obvious things that you could see just from the times that we've talked in the past. Is my interest in the science fiction aspect.
Absolutely.
But it's not necessarily like a space movie. You know what I mean? It's more about like time and the warping of time and kind of a Philip K. Dick type thing where you're messing with your brain as far as the timeline. And really, if it was written differently, it would be very boring because it'd be just a straight up story.
That's true.
And because of the way it's written, because you constantly get, two steps forward, one step back kind of feeling through the whole movie, I found myself saying, wow, this is really interesting, but it never took me out of the movie, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So I was enjoying realizing what was happening from a functional level on the film without it messing up the story for me, without me breaking out of not getting into it type thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, Memento is a great example of a non-linear script. You have linear scripts, which are pretty much the standard, something happens and then we watch the time pass till it's resolved. Whereas Memento, and I think that's really one of the cooler parts of Memento, is you don't actually even know really if it's linear or non-linear.
Right.
It's just kind of happening and you're trying to piece it all together.
Right, yeah. Well, and as a viewer, I kept wondering, and then, of course, later, thinking about this later, it probably makes no difference to the actors. But I kept wondering to myself, does this make it harder for the actors to actually make the movie? Because what's the guy's name? Guy Pearce, right? Is the guy? And, initially, because it's not flowing in a natural order of things, time-wise, it makes me wonder if they were, if it's tougher for them to exude the moment at which they're acting. But then later I'm thinking to myself, yeah, but they don't film the movie in sequence anyway.
Exactly.
So I guess to a Guy Pearce, really his acting chops had no play. Not no play. It had no effect on him doing his job anyways because they probably filmed it all over the place anyway.
Yeah, I mean that's really one of the challenges of acting for film is you don't get to build up your character in order kind of thing for your performance. Even Forrest Gump was as much of Memento to Tom Hanks, when he was performing it basically, you do things in kind of the order of the easiest way to film things, not the story, because if you were trying to shoot, this shot, then this shot, then this shot in order of the movie, you'd start running all over the place. Because especially if you're going back to a location or, a bunch of say you're doing an international spy thriller, any of the Bourne movies is a prime example. They're going to go to one country and do all the shots they need to do in that country. And then move to the next one.
My understanding has always been that that's more of an economics thing.
Oh, yeah, no, it's 100% driven by economics. Yeah. Economics and really time, but that's driven by the amount of money you have to pay people to be there.
Sure.
You want to get your movie done on time too, so you're trying to do it as quick as you can without compromising the quality of the acting or the setup or the lights or whatever.
So the other movie that I thought of without having any kind of research. And by the way, once I did go through this, I was kind of I was surprised actually. I was surprised with some of the movies that were on there, and then also I was surprised with some of the movies as to where they were. As an example, Memento was number, I want to say it was 99 or something.
It's 100, I think. Yeah,
it's right at the end.
That's the list open. Yeah,
and
no, it's 100.
I'm sitting there thinking it's going to be in the top 50 or whatever. And then the other one I thought of, and this is a childhood perennial favorite for me and my family, is hold on, I gotta unplug my phone.
Yeah, no worries.
I can't believe I fell for that. I do this pre-check, and somehow I missed my phone that goes off. Anyways, The other movie that for us was Some Like It Hot.
Yeah.
And ever since I was a little kid, my parents were huge fans of that movie.
It's a
So
classic film. Yes.
I watched it all the way growing up, like at least once a year, and always loved it. And I think it's one of the funniest movies ever made.
Yeah, no, it is a very funny movie.
But I will say I was a little weird to pick it because I was like, no, I just love the film. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that doesn't mean that it had any kind of great chops. I just grew up with it. I feel the same way about like Star Wars, but Star Wars is actually on the list.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, as much as I love it, is it, so let me ask you this, being a guy who's in the film industry.
Okay.
Is popularity of the film part of what makes this, like, is the fact that that script connected, that film did epically well, is that part of why it's considered one of the great scripts?
Here is where I kind of differ from a lot of the writing purists and stuff like that. You know, a lot of people, you know, will talk about, you know, underrated scripts and, oh, that's, you know, that's really, you know, the best script of all time and blah, blah, blah. I come from a very strong theater background, too, and I've been doing theater for much, much longer than I've been doing film. And something I've always kind of strived for is, you know, you can write this really deep, technically complicated script, you know, about something that matters to you, but if it doesn't, this is an art form where your audience really matters. You know, it's painting. You can paint for yourself.
Right.
You can take pictures for yourself. You can draw for yourself. You don't have to necessarily show it with an audience.
Correct.
Theater and film, part of the art is with your audience reactions. You know, that's you could in theory make a movie for yourself, but the people are still going to watch it. You know, an audience comes with it. So I believe a huge factor of an effective and a great script is its ability to draw and enthrall an audience, you know, and kind of just a general understanding of what's going on. You could have this super complicated script that's confusing and you'd almost have to take notes to follow.
Right.
But you're not going to want to, audience members aren't going to want to have to take notes, you know?
Right. There is a level of, and there's a level at which there's the art form, but there's also, it's considerable entertainment. I mean, there has to be a form of entertainment involved in there.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I like to argue a lot that I think some of the best story writers today are Pixar.
Yeah.
The guys over at Pixar, I think, make some of the most effective scripts that have ever been written. You know, because they operate on multiple levels as well for different age groups, which is another very, very hard thing to do.
Yeah.
And not make it campy, because you can make that stuff really campy that works on you know, multiple levels, but Pixar, those guys are wizards. I have no other explanation for it, you know.
No, I would agree. They definitely they seem to have a way of cutting right to the core of making just a solid solid experience. More than just it seems like they don't just focus on just the story or just the character or just the this or just the that.
Yeah, no,
they seem to have the recipe down really well.
And I mean, that's the signs of good writers and good filmmakers. I always feel like it's the whole package is provided to you.
Right.
You know, say what you will about Quentin Tarantino, but Quentin Tarantino puts that kind of level of thinking and design and writing and cinematography into every single one of his movies.
Right.
You know, like, that's why Quentin Tarantino's on this list. I think he's on this list twice, three times.
He's on several times. I mean, the one
Pulp
that
Fiction.
the one, you know, there's a couple directors. Now, Quentin Tarantino writes his movies also, or not?
Yes.
He does.
Yes, he does.
Is he the only writer, or is he like one of the writers?
He's usually the head writer.
Gotcha.
It's usually his idea. A lot of the times, you know, maybe a studio will get it, or he'll have somebody else help him with it, so he can focus more on the directing aspect after a while. But Quentin Tarantino is the master architect, I guess.
And he's one of those kind of directors that has full control over. He's not a hired for just the directing kind of guy. He takes full.
Yeah, he's an auteur director. That's the technical term. Somebody who writes and directs their own movies.
Okay.
with Quentin Tarantino too, he's such a draw now in the studios that the studios barely, will have, I mean, I don't. Quentin, if you want to call into our show and tell us all about it, please.
Right, yeah.
But
We'll take any
I
feedback
have
you
a
give.
strange feeling that Quentin Tarantino probably doesn't get pushed around by the studios as much as, a smaller director.
Right.
So he probably's got a lot of say for his scripts.
Yeah. Well, the other guy who tops out on the list, from what I saw scanning it, seems to be Woody Allen,
Oh yes, no, for sure, another auteur director.
who I actually met. I don't know if you know that or not.
Oh no, I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, literally met him for 3 seconds,
Yeah.
But I went on a school trip when I was at Mass Art. We'd go to New York at least once a year, and of course it's an art school, so you're doing the hike, all through all of the galleries and stuff.
I'm familiar.
Yeah, and he was there filming Bullets Over Broadway.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so we didn't get to meet Cusack, but he was there.
Yeah.
And then Woody Allen was actually on the street where our bus let out all the kids and stuff, so we all got to actually talk with him and meet him for a few minutes.
That's awesome.
And to his credit, he took the time to talk to a bunch of art students that just got off of a bus. I mean,
Yeah.
In my mind, even as a younger guy, I was kind of like, well, that's pretty cool that he would do that. But
It's kind of funny, I've met a few people in the business now too, and like the guys who have always been, and women who have been very, very nice to me,
yeah.
are always tend to make the joke at the end, just being like, yeah, I always make sure to talk to the younger filmmakers, especially because they'll probably be my boss eventually.
Yeah, right. Right.
Especially the actors I've met, and just be like, hey, if you ever make it big, make sure you cast me.
That's right.
It's just good business in general, anyways.
Makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, no, Woody Allen is one of those guys. I actually also have an unpopular opinion about Woody Allen. I love Woody Allen, but I don't think his best movie is Annie Hall. I'm a crimes and misdemeanors guy.
Oh, okay. All right.
I love that movie.
Gotcha.
But Woody Allen is another person who just puts such immaculate attention more into his dialogue than anything else, but his
now,
dialogue
is he an
is
auteur
focused.
director?
Yeah, absolutely.
He is. Okay.
Yeah, he'll co-write with somebody a lot of the time, but he's, he works with basically the same like 5-6 people in his main crew to get his movies done. So
well, plus he seems to be that guy that has he has a very specific music that always goes in.
Oh yeah.
He's got a very when I was in school, we always studied him more for his costuming and his set design, because everything was always very claustrophobic and inner city, apartments that were too small, and people's clothing never quite fit them right. And
well, I mean, soundtrack too with him has always been, especially if it takes place in New York City, it's always been, Great American Songbook, classic jazz.
Right.
I actually just did I was a sound designer over the summer for some summer stock theater performances, and we did Sylvia, which is a play about basically a dog who, doesn't talk, but you get to hear the dog talk. There's an actual actor playing the dog.
Gotcha.
It's a very cute and touching play, especially if you're a dog person. But the director, Bill Cunningham, who's a very dear friend of mine too, he's also a big Boston playwright, and is a professor over at Salem State. He basically, I remember being in the design meeting, and and he's like, he looks at me and he needs like interlude music basically for in between. And he's like, yeah, I really like Woody Allen Manhattan, for the most part, because it takes place in Manhattan. That's a thing.
Right, that's a thing.
And I like the second he's like Woody Allen Manhattan, I'm just like, well, I know where I'm getting my music from. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Well, I'll tell you the guy who, not to like totally get sidetracked, but the guy who I have told my wife, and she goes, whatever, because she does not like Woody Allen whatsoever.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not the artsy Woody Allen fan. In other words. If you ask me what Woody Allen's best movie is, it's Take the Money and Run.
Oh, that's a great movie.
No, but I'm just saying I like his straight up comedy movies more than like the the mix of drama and the dramedies. But I honestly think that the new generation of Woody Allen is Wes Anderson. like
absolutely.
I think that Wes Anderson
110%.
Wes Anderson so takes the Woody Allen like visuals and styling, and just like turns it up to 11. You know what
It's
I mean?
Woody Allen with extreme OCD, not even
It
Woody
is.
Allen OCD.
It is. It is, and it's delightful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how can you look at someone who you think might be crazy and just go, "Oh, that's wonderful." Like that's, you know.
Exactly.
But anyways, that's a total sidestep conversation on its
But I
own.
mean, it's funny you bring up Wes Anderson too, for especially when we talk about scripts. That's another director who, is known for his, for a lot of driving quirky performances out of his actors and his set design and stuff. But his scripts are also super, super stylized
They are.
to just his style.
Yep, they are, and they're dense. I mean, they're actually very. You have to watch them more than once.
A lot of the scripts on the Writers Guild list, which we'll post in the links, guys. Don't worry. They are, for the most part, are all very, very, very dense scripts. I see a few ones that are based off books. To Kill a Mockingbird's up there. You got a lot of ones that are based off books up here, but the ones that are based off books, you have all this extra rich information,
right?
That necessarily isn't going to make it into the movie, but will help with the performances of that character and stuff. And adaption's a whole nother beast, but because you'll get screenplay by based on the novel.
Right.
You got One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest on the list now too, and there's like a whole.
There's a ton on here that I didn't even realize were from books. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
saw not on the one I'm looking at now, but there was another site when I was actually looking them up. It actually gave you stats of things, and one of them was that more than 50% of them are adaptations.
Yeah, I mean, a good story is a good story, and just kind of translating something over to film can be very effective. I mean, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is a great example, because that's actually adapted in 3 different ways that I know of, or there's 3 different versions. You got the novel,
Yeah.
it's a stage play,
Oh, okay.
and it's
Gotcha.
also a movie.
Gotcha.
And the stage play and the movie are very, very similar, but the book is,
Totally different.
well, not totally different, but it's a totally different way of telling that exact same
Gotcha.
story. You got the play, and a play's different in the sense that your dialogue has to draw the viewer's eyes to the action.
Right.
So whereas in film you can frame the action.
I was just gonna say the play doesn't have camera control.
Yeah,
so
I can't cut it to show an extreme close up of Jack Nicholson's face kind of twitching a little bit.
Right.
When a character says something, to focus on him reacting to that.
Right.
He's got to act big enough. And when I say big, I don't mean like blah, but he's got to.
You can't do Donald Sutherland acting.
Yes, yeah, no, and I mean that's why if you've ever heard, theater actors can usually do film, but film actors usually can't do theater.
Right. Right.
Theater actors learn how to act big and then have to tone down their performance usually for film, whereas film actors don't know how to go much bigger because it's a very natural process when it's acting.
Right. My feeling would be that the camera comes to them. They don't have to go to the audience.
Yes, exactly.
I'll tell you one that's on here that I totally love. I didn't think of it, but is Doctor Strangelove.
Oh yeah.
Now I didn't realize it was a book. Red Alert by Peter George. I'm going to have to check that out. But there's a script that and I kind of love it for a lot of different things because I like Stanley Kubrick in general. And then of course Peter what's his name? Peter Sellers.
Yeah.
Isn't it? And of course he has like 3 different roles in the film too, right?
Yes, he does.
So, it makes you wonder with the scripts and then them casting him that way and all. I mean, there's a lot of quirkiness throughout the film like that in general. And George C. Scott's like one of the best in the movie like ever. So, but anyways, that's a great movie. Now, I'll tell you one that I'm very surprised is in here, and maybe you can give me some insight. Not that I did not like the movie. I thought it was a good movie. But Tootsie is number 17.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It's a really good script. I mean, this whole list is basically almost a film studies class movie. You know, like these are all like movies for the most part I've seen in film studies classes that I've taken.
Right.
So they kind of, you know, it's kind of a balance between popularity, overall quality of movie, and effectiveness of relaying the message to the audience.
Okay.
You know, those are the kind of things that I tend to gauge scripts off of. You know, you also get, it's not, you're not going to necessarily see Terrence Malick on the best screenplay list. You know,
right.
There are some movies
but there are some that you're very surprised to see. I mean, I don't know. I'm surprised to see like there are ones that make total Fargo as an example. I think that makes total sense, and I don't think anybody could argue that Fargo should be on the list. Mm-hmm. But like above it, better than Fargo on the list is Groundhog Day.
See, the thing is with Groundhog Day,
right?
It wasn't.
I mean, it's a good
really
movie.
Name a movie like Groundhog Day up until that point. Like,
but what I'm saying is that not that Groundhog Day was not a good movie. Like I did like it, but I don't think it was a. This is where I probably don't know. I mean, I definitely don't know what I'm talking about. But like script wise, scripts. It's 101 best scripts, right?
Yep, best screenplays. Yes.
It's kind of like was Groundhog Day really better than? And I'm looking at some of the other movies that go past. I mean, because Groundhog Day is number 27. Mm-hmm. So you've got things like I'm just trying to get to one that's the Maltese Falcon. Schindler's List is 49. Mm-hmm. So if you walked up to anyone on the street today and asked them which is a which is a better screenplay, Groundhog's Day or Schindler's List, what do you think the answer would be?
Well, I feel like most people feel like they'd be obligated to pick Schindler's List. But the reason I like this list is comedy is very, very hard to do. And comedy is also very, very hard to write. So I feel like this was, especially that it's put together by the Writers Guild. So it's a bunch of writers coming up with this. It kind of shows you how ingenious Groundhog Day was. Where Schindler's List was also an adaptation. That was a book.
Okay. So that's the answer I'm looking for. Is that so? And truth be told, Groundhog Day is very complicated from a film standpoint because just like Memento, it's all cut up and does everything. You ever hear the story that they actually the original write up of that the time frame that he was supposed to be stuck was supposed to be like 1,000 years?
Yeah. It was supposed to be like loosely based off the myth of Sisyphus, the guy rolling the rock up the hill.
Right.
But yeah, no, I mean, like, the thing is with Schindler's List too, it's, that's based off of a historical figure. Yeah. So, somebody who actually was alive at one point, the movie does take, some dramatic liberties, the Liam Neeson playing him, so his Schindler, Herr Schindler probably didn't say some of the stuff that Liam Neeson said.
Yep.
But enough. It's also, they have a lot of the dialogues taken from records, stuff like that. Whereas Groundhog Day was, all original script wise. I'm not. Schindler's List might have been a better overall movie and a much more critically acclaimed movie.
Yeah.
But Groundhog Day, if we're just talking the scripts here, trying to make people laugh is a lot harder than trying to make people cry.
No, I could imagine. I could appreciate that. So let me ask you, of the list, what's like if you went home tonight and wanted to watch one of these again, what would your choice be?
I love pretty much every single movie on this list.
Oh, dude, this is a really tough subject then for you, huh?
I mean, I think one of my favorites on the list, that just as a screenplay in general and more towards the newer end, I love the classics, and don't get me wrong, I have I watch classic movies. It's how I grew up watching movies. I think we established from the first episode, my classic movie film training got started very, very early on.
Yep.
But Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, I think, is probably one of the best scripts I've seen written in, last 10 years,
and
20
that's
years.
an adaptation, right? That's from a book.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a Charlie Kaufman book.
Okay.
I think
And that is a newer movie. That was
Jim Carrey. Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
And why can't I remember her name? Is it Kate Winslet? No, it's not Kate Winslet.
well, it
Who
might have.
is it?
I don't remember. To be honest.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think it is. But yeah, Eternal
So
Sunshine.
that's one of your favorites, huh? That's good.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm script wise.
Yeah, no, that's a good choice.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot of. I mean, that cast is really good too. You know, it's a very subtly good cast. Mark Ruffalo's in it.
Yeah.
Like Wood. Kirsten Dunst is in it. You know, everybody
that's
always
right.
just like, oh, Jim Carrey in a serious role. But that cast is really, really good.
Yeah.
But that whole script and how that, you know, basically erasing somebody out of your mind,
Right.
that whole concept of, you know, especially somebody you loved, that's a very, very hard concept to tackle. It was probably very therapeutic for Charlie Kaufman when he wrote it.
Yeah.
But
Now Charlie Kaufman's on here twice because he did Being John Malkovich, which ironically is a similar kind of
yeah, oh
thing.
yeah, he's got, you know, you see styles with a lot of people. Yeah, Being John Malkovich is also another one of those.
It's a great movie.
That is a great movie, and that was really. I'm actually surprised. I'm half surprised that it's not higher than Eternal Sunshine.
Well, but again, this is because I'll tell you if someone said, "What do you love about Being John Malkovich?" The movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first thing well, I guess the concept is the first thing, which would be directly the script, right?
Yeah.
But the close second thing is how every star in it is intentionally trying to look as ugly as possible.
Yeah.
And I really, just being an ugly person myself, I know, but you know what I mean. I really like the idea that they went through that and that to see what's her name, the chick in that the girl from What About Mary and all that.
What's her face?
How is it?
I'm having a bad name day.
Hold on a second. I can just click on the tab. It goes right to the script. You can get these scripts right online, huh?
Yeah, that's the cool part about I think you're on the same. Cameron Diaz. Duh.
Cameron Diaz, thank you. But they actually go out of their way to give her like horrible hair and
oh yeah,
you know, like everything.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, that's that kind of style for, you know, for a lot of him too. You know, Eternal Sunshine it was a pretty movie, but it was, you know, almost grotesque pretty movie.
Yeah.
You know, the whole everything kind of feels a little grungy and everything's a little bit off, you know.
It feels like that guy. Well, I mean, drug culture. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But there's that I don't know, I want to hang out here type feeling. Like
yeah, you get that uneasiness.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's you know, it reflects very well in the director and the designers for that show, or for that movie. But
so
you know,
what's your least favorite movie on this list?
Ooh, let's see.
There's got to be one. There's got out of 100 movies.
I remember seeing one and I'm just like, really?
Yeah.
And
I got to admit, I've never seen some of these movies.
Yeah, no, I've pretty much seen all of them. You know, what's nice is this is a very, very solid list. You know, there's a lot of Hitchcock movies on here.
Yeah.
You only have one Spike Lee movie, Do the Right Thing, which is pretty much arguably his best movie. I don't know. For as much as I love the movie, and don't get me wrong, I love this movie,
Yep.
but E.T.
Oh, well, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
it's one of those. It's the one that's like one of these things is not like the other and doesn't kind of just like E.T. And it's right above Star Wars too, which makes me kind of question the chosen aspect of it.
Yeah, and E.T. is one of those movies where when someone mentions it to me, I think of, well, it really shows the time it was made in, but that's about it. Like
yeah, and I mean, I understand. I maybe even understand it as, you know, kind of the example of screenwriting for general audiences in the '80s.
Yeah. Oh, I think that sums it up right there. That's exactly how I feel about it.
And that's why it's on the list. But
and that literally is all I feel about it. Like I don't really have any other.
Yeah.
feelings towards it.
Controversial, but
No, not at all.
I just don't know. It just doesn't feel like it belongs on there.
Well,
When you look at the next 5 movies up, Jerry Maguire, Singing in the Rain, Terms of Endearment, Jaws, Moonstruck, Silence of the Lambs.
Where does E.T. fit? Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you the movie on here that I really do not like. And I don't know why. I don't think it's because my wife loves it, but it could be that. When Harry Met Sally, I think is just a piece of garbage.
Okay.
I don't find it funny.
Mm-hmm.
I find it canned. You know what I mean? I find it
yes.
And I don't want to piss anybody off too much, but I find Billy Crystal this way a lot. He leans on his desire to be like the older comics so much that he's just not funny himself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He wants to relate to all these guys that he's trying to draw back. This is the part I'm trying to appreciate.
Yeah.
Is he wants to harken back to the old time comics.
Yeah, absolutely.
From New York and all that stuff, But because of that, I feel like he's never trying to be himself.
Yes. I mean, and you can sometimes see that in certain roles. I mean, I still think my favorite role for Billy Crystal ever is in The Princess Bride.
Oh yeah, and that's on here too. That's a great movie.
Him till I die in that movie.
Oh yeah, No,
have fun storming the castle. I'll say that to my friends leaving.
Yeah, that is one of the best cameos ever. Is him in that movie.
That whole movie's. I mean, that movie is on this list too.
It is, and that is a fantastic movie. That is I'll watch that every day.
And that's another prime example of why comedy writing is hard, but when it's done well, it is done so well.
Yeah. No, that's a great movie.
Yeah, and I mean, that's gonna be one of those. I feel like that's gonna be a standard of comedy. Give it, when I eventually have children, when they go to study film, because they're gonna go study film, and
they won't have a choice, right?
Yeah, no, it's just automatically assumed. But that'll be the one of the movies that they basically is like, this is how comedy should be written.
Yeah,
this is how you make a timeless comedy.
I totally agree. That is one of the most quoted movies in my household by everybody. There's a lot of comedies in the Foster household that just the guys keep referencing.
Oh yeah,
and the girls kind of like, oh god, here they go. The Princess Bride, the girls jump into that's how good it is.
Yeah, and it's really cool, kind of just being a film nerd myself. A lot of my contemporaries, a lot of people of my age, aren't really hip to the movie just yet, or
really?
Maybe the only people I feel like who have seen it, who are people with parents who were really big fans of the movie.
Oh, no kidding.
So obviously I saw it, but
so it's got a little bit of a fade effect, huh?
Yeah, a little bit. But once people see it, they're like, "How have I never seen this movie?"
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Especially with Andre. Everybody knows Andre the Giant, especially for my generation more so now because of Shepard Fairey and the whole Obey campaign, which I'm whole nother podcast for you. But it's even with Andre the Giant and Julie Dreyfus, I loved pointing out to so many of my friends who just didn't realize that in House of Cards, with Kevin Spacey, that his wife is the Princess Bride.
Oh yeah. There are so many.
Everyone forgets that.
Well, and I remember when and what's the guy's name who plays the Dread Pirate Roberts?
Oh my God,
he's the British actor.
Yes.
But I don't know if you remember this, but he went off to do some crime dramas and stuff like that afterwards, and people were like, "Oh my God, that's the same guy!" And he did a couple of actually not overly notable movies, but he was a good psycho in them.
Well, it's like all of those movies.
Yeah.
I mean all the people in those movies.
Yeah.
Have gone on to do other things that everybody are just like, oh my God, it's that person from the Princess Bride. Mandy Patinkin or however you say his last name.
Yeah.
Patinkin. Inigo Montoya.
Yeah. Talk about one of the best roles ever. Just such a defining role.
Yes.
Him and then Christopher Guest, of course, too, as the Six-Fingered Man.
But I mean, think of how many things Mandy Patinkin's been in.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I know. Well,
Like-
and talk about the way his roles have changed because he was in the TV show that was recent there about the guy coming home from Iraq,
Yeah, Homeland.
Homeland,
Yeah, and like
where he was deathly serious. I mean, there was not an ounce of comedy in that whole show.
Yeah, actually, one of my favorite series he was in that actually had really good writing was Dead Like Me.
Oh, and see, I've never seen that show.
It's a good watch. It was on, I think they showed it on Sci-Fi for a long time, and I would
Yeah.
just catch random episodes of it. But it was always just like kind of an interesting concept because
But
no one had.
he's in it, huh?
Oh yeah, he plays kind of
Oh.
like a Grim Reaper.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
See,
dude.
I'll check it out just because of that because I didn't even know he was in it. I didn't
Yeah,
even know that.
they're all basically like kind of like Grim Reapers.
Nice.
There's like a whole group of them, and he plays one of the Grim Reaper dudes, basically.
So that's up on Netflix all the time, so I'll have to check that
Yeah,
out.
no, it's definitely worth, just it's a fun little watch. They're not that long of episodes either, so. But
cool.
oh yeah, and he's in Criminal Minds too, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Yes,
And
yes,
he
yes.
used to be on like a hospital drama and stuff.
Yeah.
Too.
Um,
But you're right. That is one of the best movies on this list easily.
Hands-
And granted,
hands down.
I gravitate to the comedies anyways.
yeah, and I mean, like you got a few Mel Brooks scripts on here. I mean,
So
Joel-
let's talk about Mel Brooks for a minute because
Okay.
there's a podcast waiting to be had. Right?
oh yeah,
So Mel Brooks is definitely I'm assuming going back to your auteur director.
our tour director, yes,
Is he an auteur director?
for stage.
Because he really is a vaudeville Broadway guy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, I'm trying to remember what he's directed.
Well, like Young Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And like, because didn't he
He's
write
only
all
directed
of those?
12 titles, so yes, The Producers, Blazing Saddles. Did
he write it, though?
I can't remember. Yep, he was one of the writers for it.
Okay.
So yeah, I would definitely consider him auteur director. He's more so of an auteur director for stage, but
So you definitely differ those. Like, I mean, and so Mel Brooks as a good example, you consider his efforts on stage a totally different animal than his efforts in film.
yes, I've directed for both stage and film, so I'm familiar with the differences in basically your whole directing approach. Like the way I approach to direct a stage play and a film are two separate things.
Well, but like, so I only know Mel Brooks for his movies. I know that he does stage, but I've never seen any of his stage work.
Okay, first off, you need to.
I was just
Would
going to ask the
enjoy it
question:
a
is that is he actually more well known for his stage work or for his films in the film community in the making of the stuff?
Oh man,
You know what I mean? I mean, obviously, if I go up to somebody on the street, they're going to talk about his films.
yeah, they're
But-
going to
but
talk
I mean-
about. He's known in pop culture in general. He is known really for his movies.
Okay.
But if you asked my grandmother that same question,
Yeah.
probably would say Broadway.
No kidding.
Yeah. I mean, he started making movies, what? Yeah, 60s
Yeah.
ish. And he was already doing stage productions before that. That's how he got into film. And that's how you kind of got into film back in the old days.
Right.
So, he was already kind of established as the stage guy before he went in. And that's
And-
how,
and
like,
I-
my grandmother, huge Mel Brooks fan.
And I always considered his film shticks, if you will, but his the way he posed people, the way he had actors react to things were very theatrical. Anyways, I mean they're very stagey, kind of like when you see people, and this lends itself to some of that slapstick. Anyways,
Yeah.
But I mean, it very much has that overreaction kind of.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
feel
And I
to
mean,
it.
like even just how he set up the sets and sound stages and stuff, it kind of feels like you're watching it through a proscenium.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yep.
Which, for those of you who don't know what a proscenium is, it's this kind of stage that's got it looks like those boxes you make in elementary school.
Now we have to put in, keywords on
Yes.
our show notes too.
I always
you know?
forget. This is something I actually talked about a lot in like art school and my theater training when I was going to art school and stuff too. Is People like me need to always forget we talk in jargon because we
Yeah.
have to talk in jargon all the time.
But that's good. That's. I mean, we can expose some of that here. That'd be
Yeah,
great for
yeah.
people to see. You know.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things. It's just like I always feel bad when I'm talking to other people and they're like, "I what?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So I was looking through a Poseidon. No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I feel like a lot of people, especially any of our viewers who are looking for like a bunch of like, really want to up their film history knowledge. I feel like this Writers Guild list is probably one of the better lists of movies in general that you should just know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and that makes sense to me. Like I said, as I scan through it, I'm thinking about every 10th movie I've never heard of this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely some on here that I've heard of but I never watched.
Yeah.
And but like Network,
Yeah.
never heard of it. Never even heard of it.
I don't think I've even seen that one.
Um,
I think that's the only one in like the top 20 I haven't seen.
Yeah, I mean, like Double Indemnity. I've heard of it, but I've never watched it.
Yeah.
Let's see. They got.
Things. Okay. First off, I totally forgot. I totally scrolled by this and forgot. But Raiders of the Lost Ark is on here.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was actually pretty impressed that it made it on there. It's a great script and an awesome movie.
Yeah.
But though I'm not that surprised after seeing Star Wars on the list.
Yeah, but also, I mean, it's a here's my nerdiness now coming through it. For fans of serials, for fans of the comic strips and things like that.
Yes.
In some ways, and I'm just going to get bashed on this. I just know it's actually a more dynamic, relevant movie than Star Wars, because it actually surmises a real long history of pulp. True pulp fiction, but pulp comic strips.
Oh yeah.
And it really homogenizes like all the great aspects of the old Terry and the Pirates and all the old comic strips that really we've lost completely today.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's very true.
And it
Well,
does an
I don't
awesome
know.
job.
I mean, this is technically this would probably be a totally another podcast, but the loss of those kind of web strips comic strips,
Yeah.
I think have moved a lot to the web.
Oh yeah, no, but that's a new thing. That's not when Raiders of the Lost Ark came
Yeah,
out.
exactly.
That's a thing of today.
Yes, no, that's very true. But yeah, no, I'm very glad Raiders of the Lost Ark made it.
But you gotta wonder if today's resurgence and interest of it would be there if they didn't make Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that. I think that kind of concept, really, even with my generation, that's really kind of kept us going for.
You know what clip we gotta find is the Family Guy remake of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh my God, yes.
Have you seen that where they do it as a
Yes.
stage play?
Yep.
We'll have to find that clip and put that in the show notes because that's one of the funniest for someone who really knows Raiders of the Lost Ark in and out. That little clip is like one of the funniest things ever.
Yes. No, absolutely. Back to the Future's on here. Another time travel movie.
Yeah, and I'm so now again. That's one, and this is probably where you're going to hit me with the good comedy is not taken lightly, but that again, awesome movie. Kids love it. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of it's quasi timeless, if you will, because
Yeah.
like I have a 9-year-old son. He'd probably be fine with it.
Oh, yeah.
With the references and stuff. But I don't know. It just doesn't seem as relevant for a great writing. It's literally butted up against Apocalypse Now and Crimes and Misdemeanors.
Yes.
It's
I know,
sandwiched
I know.
between those two movies.
Well, I mean, the thing is with Back to the Future, it's name a movie like it before it.
No, I realize. I've got you. I mean,
A lot of the ones that I feel like we both are kind of looking at, like why
Maybe because they were 80s
I'm surprised. Well, not even that they were 80s films, is that they were just groundbreaking for the time.
You've got to be right. I mean,
When we're looking back with an eye of we have since Back to the Future, just think for time travel movies that just came out in the last 2 years,
Right. Right.
like Looper, all those, that wouldn't probably have happened without Back to the Future.
Well, and Back to the Future is meant to be a family entertainment movie, not like and Looper is a great choice because I very mumuch like that movie.
Yeah.
But it's definitely meant for a gritty person looking for some kind of strenuous.
I mean, there's
kind
Jeff
of
Daniels
thing.
yelling in it. It's going to be a little gritty.
Yeah, it's not a comedy.
No.
But
I mean,
you're right. I mean, I think you're very correct in that assumption. Is that we're probably looking at it as it was one of 3 Hollywood hits that were in a row, and that kind of looking at it as an all-inclusive how it did marketing wise and stuff like that.
plus, could you argue that Back to the Future made time travel one of those sci-fi concepts that doesn't isolate fans?
So it could be mainstream.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's right. Yes, I think that's correct.
I think that's probably why it's more so on the list than anything. Because you still have sci-fi topics that'll really, really isolate movies to just sci-fi fans, and I think that's slowly breaking down. Especially I feel like after this summer, it's really going to be breaking down because everything coming out this summer is basically sci-fi.
Fiction. Yeah,
but
that's the other thing that I did notice about the list, and this is my childhood frustration, is that nothing outside of, and it depends on what you call science fiction, which I will say, because Sixth Sense, someone could make the claim that that's kind of like a science fiction. Back to the Future is definitely science fiction.
Yep.
Star Wars, obviously science fiction. But all of those are not like your hardcore science discovery 2001 kind of science fiction.
No. Yeah, I mean, the only movie that I think is almost hard sci-fi that's come out lately is Prometheus. And that's
now you mean?
Yeah.
I'm in on this writer's list.
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
There's nothing on there.
There's nothing that's really true, super hard sci-fi on there.
Yeah, and I think you're correct also in that. You know what's funny is the source for one of these scripts is Sci-Fi Scripts, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
And it's for Moonstruck, which has nothing to do with science fiction.
I feel like that's just a housing.
Yeah, right.
But
yeah, you're very right, though, is that I think that the idea of science fiction, I think that there's been, with all the hits of, people finally realize Phil Dick is a great writer, right?
yeah.
So now suddenly Hollywood's trying to drain that as fast as they can.
Yeah.
And I think that that's quickly making people realize, science fiction can be about stuff that we're actually, because all of what he's writing about is about cell phones and your privacy going away and all this other stuff anyways.
Yeah.
But they put it into this action movie kind of atmosphere.
And then, mind you, all the nerds in the corner are like, we've been here this whole time.
Yeah,
What are you
exactly.
doing?"
Exactly. Well, it was funny because my wife goes, well, what Philip K. Dick movies have they made? I'm like, seriously? I said, not only have they made them, they've remade them because they made Total Recall twice.
Oh my God! Yes.
Yeah. So.
Did you see the remake of Total Recall?
I saw the first half hour, and I would see it. Like I'm enough of a Dick fan.
Yeah.
That I would watch the whole thing. I just haven't had the time yet. And in all honesty, I was not a huge fan of the original one.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a huge fan either.
I mean,
I didn't realize Philip K. Dick also wrote The Adjustment Bureau.
Oh yeah, that was a short story. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did that. He did Paycheck. He did Scanly Darker, right?
Yep.
Or Scanner Darkly.
Scanner Darkly. Minority
Darkly.
Report.
Yep. He did. He's done a bunch of them. I mean, they're basically pulling through a lot of his. Obviously, Electric Sheep is his.
Yes.
Which is the first one.
Mm-hmm.
But they've done a ton of his movies. I mean, and a lot of his are short stories that they've turned into movies.
Yeah, that they basically adapted and expanded kind of thing.
But his big one that I don't think will ever get made is the man in the high castle, which is a alternate universe universe and I think it's going to be too much. For people to get. It's
when
going to
you
be a
get
little
into
too confusing.
alternate universes, that's when it's totally alternate timeline that things have changed but are still kind of the same but have changed, you know.
It would have to be done like with a crazy sense of humor, like if they said Tarantino was doing it.
Yes,
I would be like, okay, you know what I mean? We're gonna have a grain of salt with this anyway.
Game on.
Yeah, let's do this thing. But okay, well, what else do we got to say about scripts? Because we're running out of time now.
Yeah, no, I definitely telling everybody who's listening, definitely check out this list. And also, if you want to see how scripts are really written, they do have links for the scripts to see how they're how everything gets formatted. There's very specific formatting when it comes to scripts. A lot of people don't realize that. It's not just like you write a bunch of dialogue and that's it. You know, you have to do, scene descriptions. You don't really get to put too much for the actor. It's not like, it's like not like you get to keep, I mean, you can, but it's not considered a good script usually that way. Like frown here, There aren't
I actually
notes in them.
It was funny. I actually started reading through two of them. I started reading through Star Wars just because it was Star Wars. And I was surprised how quickly you lose what's going on because it is just the dialogue. Yeah,
I mean, this is a script isn't really something that's meant to be read, which is kind of the crazy part. Same with plays. You can totally read them, but it's some people who read scripts or plays aren't, Joe Schmo. It isn't somebody who's going to probably go see it unless they're really, really hardcore film buffs.
Right.
The people who are reading it are people in the business. And it's one of those things that it's almost written in a language you almost can't understand.
It is fascinating.
It's in English, but...
Yeah, no, but I totally know what you're saying. Because you could definitely get the sense that it has to be interpreted. It can't just be read as what it is for face value.
And a lot of actors I've worked with, sometimes can have a little trouble trying to realize and envision the script, what's happening until we have, a sit down table read.
Right.
When the words are starting to sit out loud, then
they get an idea of what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. But if you just read some of these scripts, you know what's being said.
Well, that's about it.
Yeah. And a lot of different choices and a lot of certain things that are going on in the background and stuff might not necessarily be decided on yet, or even described in the script. It might be picked later. That could make something very important be very important.
So let me ask you this: if somebody watching this wanted to go out and try and write a script, is there a place they should go as far as the tips for writing, to understand the format, or?
The best way and the way I learned how to understand, I mean, you can buy books, but honestly, in this day and age of the internet, I can't really endorse one book.
Right.
I really just read scripts. That's how I learned how to do it.
Yeah, and you can get them on the web everywhere now.
Yeah, pretty much. You can get, legally, you can get the undated, unspecific drafts.
We're not concerned about how legal it is. I just want people to go out and get them. Anyway.
Yes. I mean, this website shows you a lot of good places that you can actually get legal scripts off of that get released and all that stuff. But also there are special programs to use to write scripts. The industry standard is Final Draft, but that's $300. I use a lot for... And just because they have a studio aspect of it too, you can actually plan out shoots and all that stuff with the script. Is Celtics, CELTX.
Celtics, huh?
Yep, it's freeware. So
I'll have to put that on the show notes also.
Yes.
CELTX.
Yep, Celtics. It's awesome software, and it helps you a lot. Final Draft cannot be forgiving. Okay. It can be a mean program sometimes, whereas Celtex will really walk you through, and it's got little drop down menus for what you're trying to write, whether it be a scene heading or scene description or dialogue or action or blah blah blah. You got different drop downs and it formats it right.
That's cool. I'm looking at their website right now. That looks pretty good, actually.
It's really good too if you're trying to get notes on your script and stuff too, and you send it to some of your friends who also have the program. There's actually spaces for notes on the side. It's really good. So
so you can collaborate on the script.
Yeah, and it's just not for film scripts either. You can do plays on it. There's audio visual projects, which are I've never even touched that button, but
That's
you know,
cool.
it's a great piece of free software.
Well, there we go. I'll put a link to that on there too.
Sweet.
All right, great. Well, another one in the can. We're right up on an hour here, so yeah.
Love it.
So awesome. So this is number 4. So we're already almost to number 5. I can't even believe it.
Yes.
These are fantastic. All right, great. Well, thank you very much, Kevin Walunas, for joining us.
Thank you very much, Matt. Thank you.
For
thank
the No Name film show thingy, which did I show you? I'm gonna have to shoot you a picture of what I started making for the T-shirt.
Yes.
But it's like a handheld camera from like the 60s, you know, so it looks like a weapon almost. And then I have cutting right through it the title and everything. So.
I'm trying to remember where my old film cameras are.
Yeah, I have one that's the old like Andy Warhol had, where it was the wind up one. So
I have that one that's got the switch lenses on them.
Oh, you got with the 3 switch? Mm-hmm. Oh, see, mine's only mine's a one lens. It's a fixed lens.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it has the old, you could crank it to actually capture the film.
Yeah, I got like a spin one that you kind of wind up.
That's cool.
Yeah.
We'll have to do a show on old cameras.
Yeah,
That'd be
absolutely.
Cool. So, all right, good deal.
All right.
All right, I'll talk to you next time.
Yeah, later.
Thanks. I'll see you.
Bye.